Hey there folks, John here with Through My Lens, and today I'm coming to you with another knife-related video. Today we'll be taking a look at the Shirogorov F95 Frag. Now the Shirogorov F95 is the oldest of the company's regular production models, and it's recently celebrated its 10th anniversary, so it really holds a special place among collectors and enthusiasts. In case you were wondering, the F stands for flipper and the 95 refers to the blade length, 95 millimeters. That's about 3.75 inches, although debatably this blade is even longer, perhaps closer to 4 inches. Now this knife emerged on the market when titanium frame locks were really beginning to dominate the enthusiast knife market, and it has endured as one of the best examples of titanium frame locks that money can buy. It really is just an amazing example of engineering and manufacturing. Really an icon. Now the F95 has perhaps more model variations than any other Shiro. Examples include F95, F95R, F95 Slim, F95T, F95NL, F95 Antique, just to name a few. Now this particular example is one of the more rare F95 variants, the F95 Frag, which was a Monkey Edge Knives exclusive to that retailer. And it retailed for $1,095, so about $1,100. Now this particular retail is well known for working with manufacturers to produce frag grenade pattern model variants for nearly every brand that they carry. Now incidentally, they also produced a frag pattern variant of the Shirogorov pen tool, which I've also been able to track down and acquire. So I'm really happy about that. And neither of these items are currently available from Monkey Edge Knives. Again, I think this example was sold in about 2018, and they have not sold either of these particular model variants in a couple of years, I believe. The F95 Frag was originally offered in 3 color variations: plain titanium gray, anodized bronze, and of course this anodized blue. All 3 featured this tumbled titanium handle scales on both sides of the knife, and they also featured the MEFP logo on the knives, which stands for Monkey Edge Frag Pattern. And I believe I can let you take a look at that. If I hold that up to the camera a little bit, you can see it pretty close to the lanyard hole there. That same logo is on the pin as well. Now, I believe again that this model is discontinued. Monkey Edge is currently selling a different dealer-exclusive variant of the F95 called the F95NL Frag. It appears to be nearly identical to this model, with the exception that it features non-anodized handle scales and red or black G10 inlays. It does look quite nice. That one is available for purchase on their site currently. Now this knife wasn't exactly on my radar, but since acquiring my Shirogorov F3NS, I've really been on the hunt for a larger size titanium frame lock. Again, the F3NS is a liner lock. So I did purchase this on the secondary market. When the knife popped up for a reasonable price, it was pretty hard to turn down. Knowing how unique this particular model is was a big draw. According to Monkey Edge Knives, there are perhaps no more than 50 of each variation of this knife in circulation. Now, the F95 Frag seems to have all of the upgraded features of the F95R, or refined. And that would include, of course, the M390 blade. You can see the demarcation on the pocket clip side. You can see the M390 there. This side of the blade features no demarcations. A lot of people like a very clean look like that. In contrast, my F3NS has the Shirogorov Bear logo on the blade. But if you like a clean look, you will like the F95. It also features internal milling of the scales for weight. Pretty extensive. If you take a look at the review that I did on, the maintenance and disassembly video that I did on this knife, you'll see that. It also features jimping and chamfering on the handle scales, on the blade. It has the multi-row bearing system, or MRBS, which is a feature that's tends to be on the more higher end production knives for Shirogorov. It also features a steel lock bar insert that kind of does double duty. It serves as an over travel stop so that you don't hyperextend the lock bar and bend it unnecessarily. That's a fantastic feature, and I very much appreciate how it's incorporated onto this knife. Now, in terms of weight, I consulted with another YouTuber, Alex's Knife Box. Alex has an F95 Frag similar to this model. It's in bronze coloration, and he weighed his F95 Frag at 4.72 ounces. Now, according to my scale, it weighs 4.62 ounces. And that's actually less than the 4.66 ounces that I weighed the F3NS in. Now, I'm not suggesting that Alex's scale is right and mine's wrong, or vice versa. I really just think it's more interesting that the solid titanium scales on the F95 weigh less than the carbon fiber F3NS. I just find that kind of interesting, and it just kind of again goes to how much milling work they did on these handle scales. Now, obviously, this model stands at the top of the Shirogorov production offerings. It is a 3-bear model. Now, in years past, Shirogorov classified their production knives in levels of increasing quality and features, with 1 bear being the lowest and 3 bears being, at the peak of the production quality. These categories are still used, though for all intents and purposes, the 2-bear category really doesn't exist anymore. You just have the entry-level Shiros, which correspond to being 1 bears, and then the 3-bear models, again, like my F3NS is. Now, the F95 in many respects serves as the bar to aspire for production titanium frame lock flippers. It really is just phenomenal. The Shirogorov quality is second to none. And indeed, mine is virtually flawless. The blade is perfectly centered. So hopefully you can see here. And it does exhibit early lockup. Get my camera to focus here. Yeah, very nice early lockup, which most enthusiasts prefer. And after a good cleaning and lubrication, which again I videoed here on my channel, the action is really amazing. The detent is a bit lighter than on my F3NS, but just look at how drop-free the action is. Really nice. Really, really nice. Before I cleaned it, it was a bit gritty, which I attribute to the old factory lubrication that was present, but now it is super smooth, quite nearly as good, in fact, as my Sprint Run Koenig Arius, which I consider to be the best action in my collection or of any knife that I've laid hands on. The blade itself on this knife, it's nice. It has a little less belly to it than the F3NS does. And again, that's kind of an aesthetic thing that Shirogorov seems to be going to on some of their latest releases. Again, keep in mind this is not a brand new model. I had hoped that this older style jimping that's present on this particular blade might have more traction than the jimping that's on my F3NS, but unfortunately that's not really the case. Again, that's something I kind of complained about with the F3NS in my review of that knife. The jimping is different, but still offers little in the way of actual traction. Now, the only other minor negative I can find with the knife is that there are some sharp edges on the standoff here. Not horrible, it's not going to hurt you, but it's something you do feel when you run your hand over the back of the knife. But overall, again, this knife is amazing. The weight is in that roughly 4-ounce range, which most people can EDC fairly easily thanks to the extensively milled interior of the titanium handle scales. Now, speaking of scales, I was actually surprised that this frag pattern on the F95 scales doesn't impart more traction. It's only slightly better, I believe, than the knife would be were it completely smooth. It's not a big deal since the ergonomics are quite good, and I don't feel like the extra traction is really necessary. Now, when I go into the office, which admittedly hasn't happened since March of last year due to COVID-19, I tend to carry in the pocket and not clip to the pocket. And this knife really isn't all that bulky. I find it slimmer than most of the knives in my collection, so there's no problem there. In terms of the pocket clip, I think some people are going to find the pocket clip a little bit stiff. It's a little hard. It doesn't have much flex in it or give. I tend to wear thinner pants, so I didn't experience any problems getting this on or over or off my pockets. But it's clear to see how this kind of older generation pocket clip, how the newer one on my F3 NS really is a step up. There we go. The F3 NS pocket clip is a step up in both, aesthetically and functionally. But the pocket clip on the F95 certainly is not bad at all. Now, of course, it's really hard to discuss any Shirogorov without asking the question, are they overpriced? And it's hard to argue that they're not. This knife, again, retailed for $1,100, and that's nearly twice the retail price of a plain Jane Koenig Arius, which currently retails for $605. But the Koenig is not a Shirogorov. The Shiro is unique with an undeniable appeal all their own. I get it. That's why, I now have 3 Shirogorovs in my collection. So in summary, why did I buy this knife? The F95 is perhaps the oldest and most well-known of the Shirogorov product offerings, and it is legendary. It's blue. The anodized blue handle scales are really quite nice, and I really do like blue. The fact that it's a retailer exclusive that was produced in very small numbers helps with resale, which I think is important because when it comes right down to it, I kind of bought this because in some respects I was bored. There's kind of been a drought of new Shirogorov models thanks to the Russian holiday and shipping delays related to COVID-19. Now, if the right Hottie R, for example, comes along in the secondary market, or even one of the new F95 NL models with a black carbon fiber inlay, I think I'd be fine with selling this one. Maybe. Maybe not. It's really hard to say. This one is really gorgeous. Given that it's a 3 bearers model with just the most amazing flipping action, all the features that it has, and the fact that I have the matching pen to go with it, I think is really cool. So time will tell. We'll see what the future holds to see if this knife stays in my collection or moves along. One thing I also forgot to point out earlier that I think is really cool is there's a little anodized blue center in the standoff here that I think is really a nice touch. It really looks fantastic. So there you have it. There is my review of the Shirogorov F95 Frag. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Take care. God bless. We'll see you in the next video. I hope you've enjoyed this production from the Through My Lens YouTube channel. If you did, please click on the like button and do share the video on social media. If you'd like to see more content like it, please do subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and do check out Through My Lens at www.throughmylens.org.